Louis Zamperini's life begins with noise, hunger, and anger. Born to Italian immigrant parents in California, he grows up poor and constantly in trouble. As a child, he cannot speak English and becomes an easy target for bullies. The world feels hostile to him, and he responds with rage. He steals, fights, and runs from the police for fun, fueled by frustration and a need to prove himself. His older brother Pete sees something else in him. Pete notices that Louis can run faster than anyone else in the neighborhood, not just to escape trouble but because running seems natural to him, almost effortless. Pete pushes Louis toward discipline. He trains him every day, waking him early, forcing him to focus, demanding effort when Louis wants to quit. Slowly, the angry boy begins to change. Running gives him direction. At school, Louis becomes a track star, breaking records and earning respect. He qualifies for the 1936 Berlin Olympics, an extraordinary achievement for a former delinquent. In Germany, surrounded by Nazi banners and Adolf Hitler's presence, Louis runs the 5,000 meters. He does not win a medal, but he finishes strong, impressing the crowd and even Hitler himself. For a moment, his future seems clear: Olympic glory, fame, and a life defined by victory. That future ends with the outbreak of World War II. Like many young American men, Louis feels the pull of duty. He joins the U.S. Army Air Forces and becomes a bombardier. His athletic discipline translates into military endurance, but war is nothing like the track. He is stationed in the Pacific, flying dangerous missions over vast stretches of ocean. The aircraft he is assigned to, a B-24 bomber called the Green Hornet, is notoriously unreliable. The crew knows it is unsafe, but orders are orders. During a search and rescue mission for a missing plane, everything goes wrong. Engines fail one by one. The bomber loses altitude, powerless against gravity and the endless Pacific below. There is no heroic maneuver. Life in the prison camp settles into a grim routine where time loses meaning. Days are measured not by dates but by beatings, roll calls, and the slow ache of hunger. Louis Zamperini wakes each morning on a hard wooden floor, his body stiff, bruised, and increasingly fragile. His weight drops dangerously low. Every bone presses sharply against his skin. Yet his eyes still carry a quiet refusal to surrender. The guards treat the prisoners as less than human. Food is scarce and barely edible, a thin rice ration often crawling with insects. Disease spreads easily. Dysentery, beriberi, and scurvy weaken even the strongest men. Medical care is almost non-existent. Survival depends on luck, resilience, and the small acts of solidarity prisoners show one another, sharing scraps of food or helping a sick man stand during roll call so he is not beaten to death. Matsuhiro Watanabe's cruelty grows more personal. He watches Louis closely, searching for signs of weakness. He forces Louis to stand for hours, to hold heavy objects above his head, to endure blows meant not just to hurt but to humiliate. Sometimes the beatings come with no explanation at all. Other times they are theatrical, performed in front of the entire camp to send a clear message: resistance is pointless. One day, Watanabe orders Louis to hold a heavy wooden beam above his head. If he drops it, he will be executed on the spot. The beam shakes as Louis lifts it. His arms scream in pain almost immediately. Blood drips from his wounds. The guards laugh, waiting. Time stretches endlessly. Louis's vision blurs, but something deep inside him hardens. He thinks of his brother, of the track, of the ocean. He refuses to lower the beam. Instead of breaking, he stands taller. Watanabe's face twists with rage. He strikes Louis repeatedly but cannot force him to submit. Eventually, the punishment ends. Louis collapses, but the moment is a quiet victory. The bird has failed to crush him. As the war shifts, Louis is transferred. Life after the war moves forward, but Louis Zamperini feels stuck in place. The world around him rebuilds, celebrates, and forgets, while he remains trapped in memories he cannot escape. Each night, sleep becomes a battlefield. He dreams of the prison camps, of fists and boots, of Watanabe's face twisted with pleasure as he delivers pain. In many of these dreams, Louis is no longer the victim. He is the executioner, strangling his captor with his bare hands. He wakes in terror, soaked in sweat, sometimes reaching for his wife as if she were an enemy. Cynthia tries to help him, but she does not know how to reach the man behind the rage. Louis drinks heavily, believing alcohol will dull the memories. Instead, it sharpens them. His anger spills into his waking life. He struggles to hold a job, drifting from one failure to another. The discipline that once made him an Olympic runner now fuels his self-destruction. He is strong, stubborn, and completely lost. Hatred becomes his anchor. He believes that as long as Watanabe lives, he cannot be free. Revenge plays endlessly in his mind. It gives shape to his suffering, a target for his pain. Without it, he fears there would be nothing left but emptiness. As his marriage begins to crumble, Cynthia reaches a breaking point. She considers leaving him, convinced that love alone cannot save a man who refuses to be saved. At the same time, she attends a Christian revival led by a young preacher named Billy Graham. There, she experiences a sense of peace she has not felt in years. Desperate, she urges Louis to attend with her, hoping it might change him. Louis refuses at first. Faith feels meaningless to a man who has seen so much cruelty. But with his marriage hanging by a thread and nowhere else to turn, he finally agrees to go. At the revival, he listens with folded arms and a hardened heart. Billy Graham speaks of forgiveness, of surrender, of releasing hatred rather than feeding it. The words irritate Louis. Forgiveness feels. Louis Zamperini's later life unfolds quietly compared to the violence that once defined it, but its impact is no less powerful. Having survived war, captivity, and the long struggle within himself, he chooses to live with purpose. He speaks across the United States, sharing his story not to glorify suffering but to show that endurance does not end with survival. True strength, he explains, is found in what comes after. His marriage to Cynthia grows stronger as trust and peace return. The man who once woke in terror now sleeps without fear. The nightmares that haunted him for years do not return. Memories remain, but they no longer control his actions or define his identity. He learns to live with the past rather than inside it. Louis devotes much of his time to working with troubled youth. He sees his younger self in them, angry, reckless, and searching for direction. Instead of preaching, he listens. He teaches discipline through sports and challenge, just as his brother once guided him. His message is simple but hard-earned: pain does not have to turn into destruction. Suffering can shape you without owning you. As the years pass, the world begins to recognize the full weight of his story. He is honored as an Olympic athlete, a war hero, and a symbol of resilience. Yet Louis remains humble. He insists that he was not special, only unwilling to give up. He credits his survival to faith, forgiveness, and the support of others, never claiming strength as his own alone. Decades after the war, Louis returns to Japan once more. This time, he carries the Olympic torch in Nagano, a powerful gesture of reconciliation. The country where he once suffered unimaginable cruelty now welcomes him as a symbol of peace. The moment closes a circle that began with hatred and ends with understanding. Though Watanabe never accepts his forgiveness, Louis no longer needs a response. Closure, he learns, does not require permission from the past. It comes from choosing who you want to be.